Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today's project is the Thanksgiving card using the hinge stamping technique to create this background with the Stamparatus. It's also a shout out to last year's gorgeous stamp set which has been gathering dust called The Country Home. So we're using today's tiles and also the dies that coordinate with it. If you purchase them together, it will save you 10%. My card base is in grey granite. In Europe, this will measure 8 1/4 by 5 7/8, which is a half A4 sheet. And in metric, that's 21 centimetres by 14.9 and folded in half. There's a whisper white card insert, and that measures 5 1/2 by 3 3/4. That's 14 centimetres by 9.5. A Merry Merlot matte layer, and that is 5 7/8 by 3 7/8, which is 14.3 by 9.8 centimetres. A scrap of Merry Merlot to die cut your tile in the background, and also this little banner, and a scrap of whisper white to stamp your background with. The inks I'm using are Tuxedo Black, Memento Ink, Merry Merlot and Grey Granite. The stamping blends I'm using are Cherry Cobbler, Mossy Meadow, Soft Suede, Grey Granite, and from the Stampin' Up markers, Merry Merlot in the neutrals, and a colour lifter in case I need it. Now I've set up my Stamparatus and I've placed the sides of the hinges right here in the corner. So if I put the plate down, I'm using the top hinge, so you see it's away from the sides. If you butt it right up into the edge, sometimes because of the height of the hinge, the ink doesn't take properly. So it's best to move it away from the edges along there. The way the Stamparatus is constructed, it's hinged on 2 adjacent sides, and this is open-ended, so you can use it with any size paper. It depends whether you're left or right-handed, so it's ambidextrous use. So if you're left-handed, you can use it this way. If you're right-handed, you can use it this way. And I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use it with the hinge on the right and at the top. So to ink it up, I'm using Grey Granite, and I'm using a larger piece of paper than I need, and I can trim it down afterwards. The reason I do that is because I want to butt it right up into the corner so that there's no opportunity for it to shift or move position. And then stamp. Now you see the ink hasn't quite taken. So ink it up again. And that's just perfect. We ink it up again. And then move it 2 hinges and stamp again. I want that a bit darker. And we can carry on until the end of the paper if you want to, but I won't need to because the card only measures 5 1/2, the card front, 5 3/8. So move it along 2 and stamp again. So this technique is called hinge stamping because you are inserting the plate into the hinges and moving it along 2 spaces, which is the width of the stamp. To line up the stamps, you just simply line up the circles like so. Okay, then you switch the plate round so that there are two sides to the plate, so you can mount your stamps on both sides. So I've switched the plate round and then pick up the stamp. So ink it up in Merry Merlot. Ink it up again. Remove that ink and then move it along 2 hinges. Make sure that's buttered right up into the corner and hasn't moved. Move it along 2 hinges and stamp again. Ink it up again. Move it along 2 hinges. Now when you get to the end, it loses some of its sturdiness, so it might wibble or wobble. So you just want to grab hold of it and make sure it's stamping in the correct position. Now lift it up and show you. Isn't that stunning? I forgot to mention, I love the sayings on this. Everything will be okay, especially in this day and age. Thanks for being there when I needed you most. Just want to say hello. Wishing you peace and happiness. I'm blessed to have you in my life, and namaste. So now we can trim it down. So I'm going to follow the line of where I've stamped. So I've trimmed my piece. Now to adhere it to the Merry Merlot matte layer, leaving an even border all round. Then adhere it to the card base. On a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, I can stamp my urn and the flowers in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And before I put the Stamparatus away, because it's got the foam cushion underneath, I shall stamp the sentiment inside in grey granite. I'll glue that inside as well before I lose it. We have some die cutting to do, so it's just the tile background here and the banner down there. So I'll need platform 1, platform 2, which is the thin die adapter, 2 platform 3s. There's the first one, followed by my cardstock, the die. So I want this one, and then the second platform 3 on top, and I'll run that through the die cutting machine and I'll be back. So there are my die cut pieces. I'm going to leave that for the moment, but I will glue this to the card base first. Just make sure there's a little bit of glue on the corners so it doesn't ruck up. Save that for later. And now I can tackle colouring the urn. I forgot to stamp something. Middle of the urn. So it's just the label and the word thanks, and that comes from the Country Home set as well. First I'll colour the urn in grey granite and the label in here, cherry cobbler, and I'm going to mix it with a Merry Merlot marker because there isn't a Merry Merlot stamping blend. Oops, I've made a mistake. I'm going to have to use the colour lifter to lift that colour. It should be Merry Merlot and not grey granite. I'm going to use the Merry Merlot marker pen to colour in the berries, the light grey granite to colour in the cotton. I don't know if it's cotton, I don't know what flower that is, and then soft suede for that and mossy meadow for the leaves. Now it comes to fussy cutting. You want to be inside the urn. Put the urn on top and make sure that the sides aren't showing. So I need a tab for underneath. And then cut round it. So now you'll understand why you need a tab there, so that you can butt that up from the urn right up until the end of the stem, so that it looks as though it's coming out of the urn. I've put mini dimensionals on the back and I've left a gap at the bottom because you want to tuck this banner in and position that in the center of the card. Apply adhesive to the banner or label and tuck that in like so, and there's your card completed. I hope you've enjoyed today's autumnal card and the hinge stamping technique, and I'll be back with my Countdown to Christmas series on Friday. All the links to the supplies are below this video in the Show More section. There's also a link to my blog if you want to read more about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.